In this video, we're going to start talking about objects, and I'm going to work an example, actually from the book that's used throughout the first part of Chapter 4, and that's to create a gradebook class and create gradebook objects from them. So we're going to start off doing a new project, console application, and we'll call this GradeBook example. Alright, already got one of that name. We'll call it example 1. How about that? GradeBook example 1. Alright, so we're actually going to need two classes for this application or this project. And we're going to have each class will be in a separate file. So we're going to take our first file that comes up by default, which is named program.cs. Remember, it's the one with this main method in it. I'm going to rename that to GradeBookTest.cs. Now remember, when we start executing, or when C# goes to execute programs, it looks for this main method, and anything that's within it, that's where it starts executing from. We also need we're going to define a gradebook class. So I'm going to go up here to the name of my project, do a right click, add new item. We're adding a class, and we're going to call this gradebook. Notice with my class names I'm using upper camel casing. Again, C# doesn't care, but by convention or good programming practice, the name of our classes uses upper camel casing. So now, as you can see, I've got two files here. You can see them over here. Gradebook, Gradebook Test. Gradebook Test again has my main in it. Gradebook does not. So execution will actually start here in the main. We're going to actually start working on this gradebook class, and this gradebook is you can think of a class. We've actually used those back in Chapter 2 when we created Windows Forms applications. We dragged a button class into our form, which created a button object. Now that was a visual object that we could see, and it had properties associated with it. One of the properties that we set was the text property, and that controlled what text appeared in the button. We can create our own properties here, even though this is a more abstract type of class. It's not anything we can see, but we can treat it in the exact same way. So the way we go about creating a property, we're going to create a property that will contain the name of the course that this gradebook is for. So first we're going to create a private variable, and it's going to be a string, and we'll call it CourseName. Now usually properties have a variable, a private variable that stores the information that's in that property. It kind of protects it. This private means you don't have direct access to it. You do within this file. So anything in this file has direct access to anything that's defined as private. Any object created from this class does not have direct access to a private variable. But we do need to supply a way for the object to have access to it. So we do that through something called a property. We define a property as public, that's so the object can have access to it, and we'll give it the name CourseName as well, this time with a capital C. Again, by convention, properties are upper camel casing, variables are lower camel casing. The way we read what's in a property is we do it through something called a get accessor, or a getter. And here we're simply returning whatever is in our private course name variable, our instance variable here. Now the way we write or set values in a property is through the set accessor or a setter. And here we're just going to set course name, our private instance variable, equal to this value called, this variable called value. Now where does value come from? Value is just built into C# as part of a setter. It's the same type as whatever the property name is, and whatever you set your value, your property to, that's saved in this value variable. It's something you don't have to deal with. It's handled for you automatically. So here, these few lines of code define one property called course name. So now we can go back over here to our main method in our other class, and we can create a gradebook object. The way we create an object is very similar to the way we create a variable. We give it a type. The type here is gradebook, the name of our class. Then we give it a name. And again, you can choose any name you want. I'm going to choose my gradebook. Again, using lower camel casing. Objects are just like variables, so they have lower camel casing by convention for their names. Then we have this equal, new, and then the name of the class again with an open close parentheses. What this equal new does is it creates space out in RAM for our object, and then runs something called a constructor. Here C# has something called a default constructor that runs, which you don't have to create yourself. Takes no parameters. The book covers constructors a bit, so and they do a pretty good job there, so I'll just refer you to the book for what a constructor is. Now that we've created the object, we've got access to that property. So if I type our object name here, my gradebook dot, it'll show me everything I got access to. And here, course name is one of them, the name of our property. So I can do course name and then equals GD13. Remember, course name was a string property, so I had to send it a string. So that does a set of the property or a write of the property. We can also do a read from it because we have the get accessor defined. So I can do console.writeLine. The course name for this gradebook is, put a placeholder there, and then we're going to give it name of our object dot course name again, and that reads it, reads the value that's there. So again, doing a set here, SGD113 gets put into this value variable that's built in for us automatically. So SGD113 gets stored into course name here. Then when we go back and read it back, course name runs the get accessor, just returns what's in this private variable, instance variable, course name. It's returned back to us here. So I'm going to do a Control F5 or run it. And again, the course for this gradebook is our placeholder, my gradebook.courseName, which is SGD113. In the next video, we'll talk a different way that we can create this property, and we'll discuss methods just a bit.